start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
All right, Brad Joe with you here. Moving all over the place. Tuesday afternoon in the capital city. The clock is crooked, so I feel like... Phone number is 244-0077. You can email radiobradshaw@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Just go to thebradshawshow.com. It's got watch live there, show archives. It's all at thebradshawshow.com. Fun stuff today. There is a new brand of truthers. And, pretty much anything, I mean, from Roswell to the moon landings, allegedly. There's a conspiracy theory for everything. The Illuminati, various secret societies, and James Bond level style villains. And there's always been that undercurrent. When an event reaches critical mass with the public, like an obvious 9/11, everyone was affected by that. That kind of conspiracy movement moves mainstream. Like, there are just conspiracy theorists among us. And whether it's fluoride in the water, chemtrail, they believe them all. Give me all the conspiracy theories. It helps me, keep track of the world and make sense of a confusing place. But some make their way into the mainstream, especially when they can be used for a political purpose. The birthers, for example. 9/11 truthers. I wonder if this is a real thing. Sandy Hook truthers will make that same jump because of what we will see tomorrow. Which I will explain. I made the mistake of listening to Iowa Public Radio on my way in, and they were talking about communicable diseases. Considering we are one of the top restaurants per capita cities in the world, something to consider later on in the show. But first... today was Brandstad's Condition of the State address. Part of what we got was what we learned yesterday about the governor's education plans, which, again, on its face, sounds good. More development for teachers, more incentives to stay. More incentives to get into teaching. The big one being raise starting pay to $35 a year. But again, for the amount of education required for a teacher, it's probably still on the low side. But it is a big step. A couple of the things that stand out that he did and did not talk about. Once again, Brandstad, who is 0 for 2 so far in his attempt to reform corporate taxes in this state. And he wants to cut commercial property tax now by 20%. In the past, it's been 40%. Now, he would say, for small business. Democrats certainly called his bluff on that one. Last year, during the legislative session, when Brandstad was running around trying to get his 40% property tax cut for Walmart through. And the governor, small business, small business, small business. Well, now hold on a minute, as an old boss of mine used to say. And this was actually a pretty smooth move. I love this kind of stuff. Democrats said, you know what? We will go along with your plan, but we're going to set a maximum dollar amount. So if you're going to run, a Walmart campus, all right, you're not a small business. But if you want to run like a small, Chick-fil-A, that's a small business. We're willing to give those folks a cut. And the plan was immediately...
Wait, we're going to give Hate Drippin' Chicken a cut?
Yeah.
But it's the chicken spiced with hate.
Well, it is.
And it's good chicken, though. I love the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
I just enjoy watching the folks. Well, one, leading up to November, there was more than one pundit saying, "Look at what we did with Chick-fil-A. This election's in the bag." And to just the celebrating of the fact that you can get Americans to eat fast food. Like, look at what we've accomplished.
Though, in all fairness, now...
You got Americans to go eat fast food.
In all fairness, I didn't really like Chick-fil-A until that all happened. And then everybody kept talking about how great their Chick-fil-A is. And so, outside of the political reasons for going to eat, I never went there during the Chick-fil-A day. I thought that was stupid. I was here with you, in fact.
Yeah.
But a couple weeks later...
So you were hanging out with some other dude.
Yeah.
Instead of going to Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then a couple weeks later, I decided to go see why everybody was so crazy about Chick-fil-A, because I was like, this is nuts. And I got to admit, the spicy chicken sandwich is amazing.
I wasn't that jazzed.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite sandwich.
I've been, I think...
It's my favorite chicken sandwich.
2 or 3 times in my life. And I say this as someone whose, family roots are Southern. Where it's basically Chick-fil-A, Crystal, and Waffle House. That's... like your holy trinity. And I love Crystal. It's the southern version of White Castle. And I love Waffle House. It reminds me of Lumpy's in Ames. Chick-fil-A just never... I don't have any interest in sweet tea.
I don't like sweet tea.
I think waffle fries are too dry.
The waffle fries are okay. They're not my favorite fries, but they're okay.
I want someone to bring back the old 1980s McDonald's fries when they were still cooking them in beef tallow.
Ooh.
There should be
only if they can bring back the original chicken nuggets, because these all white meat things aren't cutting it.
Yeah, what is the nugget? I'm familiar with the oyster on a bird. The nuggets, I'm not.
Well, not at McDonald's. They used to do dark meat chicken mix. Huh. And now it's all white meat.
I don't even know the last time I've eaten a chicken McNugget.
And they taste dry. Well, they used to one of my, I don't go to McDonald's but once every 6 months, but that would be what I would order. I love chicken nuggets or chicken McNuggets, but those are horrible now.
Yeah, I had some cousins who, from the age of 4 to 7, would throw a fit if you made them eat anything but chicken nuggets, and specifically chicken McNuggets, but I don't know, never did it for me. I'm on a bit of a nostalgia kick. I was watching Cops before I came in, and it was one of those early 90s episodes.
Were you sweating?
No, but they had the big shoulder pads.
But you were watching Cops and you weren't sweating?
No.
Weird.
Why would I sweat watching
It's a Step Brothers joke.
Oh.
He's like, did you touch my drums? And he's like, no. He's like, why are you all sweaty? And he's like, I was watching Cops. And he's like, now I know for a dang fact that Cops isn't on until 4:30. It's a good bit.
Oh, I've never seen it. But does anyone still show the episodes? Do they still show the episodes in rerun from Des Moines? Back in the 90s, early. I don't think I've seen. I don't know when they stopped doing them in Des Moines, but they used to be a fairly regular occurrence. My favorite was the one, the guy who got his cop car caught on train tracks.
I love that one.
But they would do shows from Des Moines. It was a nice way when I lived elsewhere of keeping track of what was going on in my home city. The weird thing is that all right, this is going to be unpolitically correct, and I apologize in advance. But if you watch Cops, all right, and yes, I understand it's exploitive and all of that. There's definitely, and the producers, make a point of, making sure that portrayals are very separate between normal people and people you see on cops. Those are your running away from car accidents. You're being searched. They're searching a neighborhood for you. Versus like I'm a normal person and I'm stopped by the police and I have a weird problem or whatever. And it's funny because if you watch like an episode made recently versus one made in the 90s, the normal people look, way different. Big poofy shoulder pads, 80s and 90s clothing. The cops people look the exact same. Like you could mix and match like the criminals, bad guys from any period, and they all look the exact same. One from like 2009 and one from 1989. The normal people all look different. That's how you can date a Cops episode. And how did we? I don't know. Let's get back to Branstad's condition of the state address, because it's a Taylor Swift day, I like to call it. It's very pretty outside, and there is no action at all to be had. And that the whole thing with Taylor Swift is like she dates a new dude every 2 weeks because either they're afraid she's going to write a song about her, or there's just don't give her no lines and keep your hands to yourself sort of thing. She's got a very strict no-fly zone. Everything is kind of heating up for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the big day. We get the gun announcement, and the entire right wing in this country goes nuts, and we should let them. But as a preview of news to come, and that's kind of what today is. Branstad's property tax proposals, and we'll see if this may be the year he's able to get it through the State House. No small part due to the $800 million surplus the state is sitting on. Now, some of that is scheduled to go for education. And hey, you know what? Credit where credit is due. It's a very effective strategy. If you cut funding, if you lay off government workers, you're going to save some cash. Create this surplus, and then go, oh, magic, we have a surplus. So we'll give credit, for taking it back, giving it back to people, and in this case, giving it to large corporations. Because don't kid yourself. I mean, this was the talk when Branstad decided to get back in the political ring. You knew exactly what you were going to get. Big Ag will have its way with the state, and big business. Again, not a good, poster child, but will have its way with the state. Everything from, you want to build a Wells Fargo campus? How much cash can we throw at you? You want to build a fertilizer plant? How much money can we throw at you? You want to build pool lagoons and hog lots? We are here to help. That's what you get with the Branstad administration. That is what we're getting with the Branstad admin. One thing that didn't come up was the gas tax. And this is something that, again, Branstad's always been a supporter of raising the gas tax, but it quickly disappeared once he won the election. And you could tell what time it was. But it's something that he's been jonesing for and hasn't been able to even really bring up for discussion. And depending on the various plans, 10-15%, or 10-15 cent, gas tax increase. And at this point, honestly, if the gas tax went up a nickel, would anyone notice outside of the already fluctuating gas prices? If it went up 10 cents, gas going up 10 cents is called, an average Thursday. And what we're facing now is, a $200 million shortfall in road funding. And this isn't, building new and exciting ways to get to, Riverside Casino or building a new bypass. This is just maintaining the roadway we have. And I think anyone who, drives has, noticed that in the last decade or so, when you would go out of state and come back in state, whether it was, coming from Illinois into Iowa or down from, back from Minneapolis or even, go to the College World Series and back in Omaha, there was a distinct difference, coming up from Kansas City. When you crossed that Missouri state line, our roads were better. That's not so much the case now. And this is one of those deals that is always, you can always cut a little, and you're not going to feel the effects. Higher education is in that same boat. Those effects are going to be felt later on. And infrastructure is somewhere where we've robbed from Peter to pay Paul for a long time. Not just roads, everything, from water lines, power, you name it. I mean, we're talking decades here. So this isn't, a Culver or Branstead or a Vilsack point. It's just nationally, this is what we've done. And what do we have for it? Literally falling bridges. So here in the state, kind of that deferred maintenance is going to come back and bite us in the butt. And we certainly know that the cost, not the price, but the cost of gas, everything from, refining capacity to having to transport the stuff. I forgot what the number is. It's something like every single day. Like how many, tankers worth of gas are spilled. Not from, Exxon Valdez style accidents or massive, environmental, just from, the drip when you pump gas and you pull it out and it drips on the ground. Just that. There is a very high cost with our, energy/transportation system. And the closer we can get the price to the cost, I think the better, and the more likely we are to make informed decisions. In this case, maybe buy one less urban assault vehicle and look at that Chevy Volt, or look at a smaller car. Especially, if you're just, popping between West Des Moines and downtown, do you need, some sort of Canyonero style Oldsmobile Buick? Now, maybe you do, and maybe that's what you want, but there should be a cost to that. There should be, again, a disincentive. Now we're not saying you can't. We're not going to outlaw them. But if you want to drive an urban assault vehicle, there should be a higher cost to that. Now, at some point, the scales tip, and you're seeing this in some Western states, where the influx of, what is the plural of Prius? Prii? What do it's like a flock of seagulls, a blessing of unicorns. I learned that one. I don't know, a hipster of Priuses out there on the roads, to the point that it is seriously affecting gas tax income. And now there's talk of a per mile charge, which I'm not a fan of. But at least for the time being, if you want to drive, your beat up, crappy pickup that gets, 8 gallons per mile or something silly like that, there should be an added cost to that. And we may see a gas tax jump now that, $5 gas isn't on the horizon for a while. Wait till the economy really improves, and then you'll see where gas prices are at, because demand ain't going down anytime soon worldwide. But it was one thing that Branstead didn't pick up. The rest of it was pretty non-noteworthy. I do personally get a kick out of Branstead talking about making Iowa one of the healthiest states. This has been an oddly non-economic kick out of him. And, I mean, this goes for everything from getting Sean Johnson to tell us to exercise more to, in this case, $2 million to launch the Rural Physician Loan Repayment Program and more money to support medical residency programs in Iowa. And I do get a bit of kick out of that because, and I don't know if anyone's run the numbers. Where's Nate Silver? Where are the Freakonomics guys when we need them? How much of our economy is based solely in high fructose corn syrup? Right? One of the worst things, I mean, short of lead, arsenic. Like, what percentage of our economy is just based on high fructose corn syrup? Those high corn prices, you think that's good? We really enjoy, because we really got to have our pops or something? Because we really enjoy sweet corn? We do
this will be an issue that separates us, Matt.
You're a high fructose corn syrup fan?
Listen, if you take away whatever recipe they make A&W out of, we're over.
I'm sorry, soda, and this is how I can drink the diet stuff now. I mean, maybe you're not old enough to remember sugar soda in a glass bottle. It was divine.
You realize we're like 3 years apart.
Right? I know, but you come from just such a way out there. Maybe they didn't have this stuff on the south side. Maybe it was a west side.
I grew up in Beaverdale.
Extravagance.
I grew up in Beaverdale.
All
I didn't
right,
grow up on the south side.
Good to see you haven't let it hold you back in life.
We had Beaverdale was great growing up. Now
West Des Moines.
Yeah, West Des Moines.
Best Des Moines.
It's full of entitled hippies. Oh, sorry.
It ain't an entitlement if you actually do it.
Anyway,
it's like it ain't bragging if you can actually accomplish it.
I remember the old sodas.
Yeah, and it was far better.
Yes, I agree with you. However, all the new recipes that they've re-included cane sugar taste nothing like those.
That's because it's in the plastic.
I know.
Get me the old the 16-ounce Mountain Dew grenade that could be turned into a firebomb by a particularly industrious,
the best glass
bored teenager.
The best glass bottle pop was Dad's root beer. That stuff was amazing.
Maybe I'm a bit Ferengi, but I never much cared for the root beer. It's just something humans
I like
do.
root beer. I only drink Coke in glass bottles. You'll never see me with a Coke that didn't come from
but like Mexican Coke in the stores
I'll drink that. Yeah.
Like the new Hy-Vee in Urbandale. Like, it sucks having to wade through that many people, but they have the glass bottle.
Yeah, I'll drink that. I also like the little bottles. They don't bother me. I'll buy around Christmas time. I'll buy a ton of those and then drink those for a month or two.
Well, I mean, it's two things. Like, sugar soda in a plastic bottle, cool, not great, but or high fructose corn syrup soda in a glass bottle, cool. But when you have when their Wonder Twin powers activate,
I think that cane sugar tastes better in soda, but A&W makes all their in-store stuff with cane sugar, and I don't like it. I like their bottled, mass-produced crap. I know. I'm like the one...
Be gone, heathen!
I know I'm the one guy in the world that doesn't like the in-the-store A&W, but it's just the truth.
But I do get a kick out of Branstad pushing the healthy estate when it is such an integral part. Dirty water and high fructose corn syrup are basically the foundations of this state's economy. And we're pushing healthy. If anything, we should be pushing unhealthy, repeal Mayor Bloomberg's soda ban and get more crappy beverages for kids into schools. That would directly affect the state. But I don't know. These are the things that stick out to me. We'll see what actually gets done. Probably not a whole heck of a lot. I think the real story coming out of the State House is now that a number of moonbats and wingnuts and Glenn Masseys are no longer in the State House, what influence will the crazy have? I heard Linda Upmeyer, new Speaker of the House, was asked about Ken Sorensen, who is a wingnut in good standing. I mean, he is, not the brightest bulb on earth, but through what will be considered, I think, in the future, a fluke of history, is an elected state senators making a push to bring back the death penalty. Because Lord knows, statistically, that's doing very well nationwide. How many people in Illinois did they find innocent thanks to DNA on death row? So it's a good idea whose time. I mean, if it worked in Salem, it can work for us. But I noticed you very quickly demurred and deflected when asked about that. Might this be the year that the fever, at least in the state level, breaks? Not that the Iowa GOP doesn't have some serious problems, maybe chief of which it's being run by Ron Paul, supporting raw milk drinking, colloidal silver, gold nuts, who are far more concerned with the Ron Paul movement than the Republican Party of Iowa. So there's systemic problems there. But at least in the public face, in the these are the proposals we are going to prioritize. Last year you couldn't look sideways without someone trying to attach some sort of anti-gay, marriage amendment, like pin the tail on the appropriations bill or whatever. We saw the Give a Schizophrenic a Gun bill come up. And I wonder if this is the year, it remains to be seen, that those folks have finally lost their influence, where folks like Glenn Massey told, hey, we're done with this, so sit down, shut up, and or go do something else, and they chose to go do something else. So that, I think, is the thing to watch, because I think it'll be a big lead-in to what we're going to look forward to in 2014. Will Branstad run again? With the crazies out, it's far more likely. There's some talk, age and health. Does he really want to do another 4 years of this, or does he hand it over to Kim Reynolds, who is certainly being groomed to take the spotlight? And maybe the state would be better off with Kim Reynolds as governor, because the governor always has, a driver. I know. I'm bad, I admit it. And then, the talk in the Register that Bruce Braley might be looking at a governor's role, which I figured would happen. Got a call a couple weeks ago from a not exactly a high-profile Obama volunteer, but saying that apparently Harkin is looking to model his organization after the Obama team, and putting people in the field already, which I'm actually kind of surprised he's running again. That with the, farm bill and ag goodies not being the, guaranteed slam dunk they used to be. But it looks like Harkin is running again in 2014. And everyone, I think, in the worst kept secret on earth is that Bruce Braley was greatly eyeing that seat. And might he throw a gubernatorial run in there to bide time? Anyway, 244-0077. The email address, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. And you can always follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. When we come back, when is it a good idea to pick a fight? I believe the president has found one. I'll explain when we come back here on The Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. Back right after this.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager
I'm the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
It's time to start.
Bum, bum, bum. It's very quiet.
The basic head bob.
Welcome to the
Ready,
library.
go.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits. All right, Bradshaw with you here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon in the capital city. It's going to be like decent and nice, and then it's going to get like warm again. Weirdest weather. All right, everyone. Okay. Anyone else like Star Trek, Star Wars, Firefly, Dungeons and Dragons, collectible card games, video games, you name it? If so, you know what it was like to be occasionally picked on, teased, bullied, whatever, at some point in your growing up process. Worst way to describe childhood ever. And what's the one piece of advice? I don't know what advice they give now. I assume consult counsel. But the one piece of that I was given, I think, just pop that guy once in the nose, which is an excellent way, by the way, to get your ass kicked. Because again, there are some bullies who are just looking, to move on to an easier target, and once you put up a fight, they'll move on to, someone else, and you can, not feel good about yourself, but definitely breathe a sigh of relief now that Philip is getting it, and you can go about your day. There are times to pick a fight, and there's times to, walk away, and there's times to run. As a great American fried chicken franchise once said, tomorrow, I think we're going to see the president decided this is a good time to pick a fight. And the fight he'll be picking is with one, the NRA, and two, the Republican base. I think those are two, paper tigers. A lot of sound and fury that don't accomplish much. With the added bonus, I think if you can get the other side to argue very loudly, very prominently, very vehemently, in a position that Americans don't particularly agree with. I think as we learned in November, that can be a very valuable political tactic. Again, liberals have nothing as potent in our war chest, in our Felix the Cat bag of tricks, as powerful, as potent, and as effective as Republicans talking. When Republicans again kind of drop the facade and tell us how they really feel, the voters just have a way of shutting that whole thing down. I think we're going to see this tomorrow with the added benefit, and you always kind of look for these, if being the right thing to do. Again, depending on how cynical you are, that maybe is a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say, and not the means. But here, I think, is the means. And what we're going to see tomorrow is the vice president's, blue ribbon special panel report on things we can do about gun violence in this country, including, and this is, I believe, Mother Jones, 19 executive actions the president can take without congressional approval. Again, there's a limited scope of things that the executive branch is allowed to just sign an order for. For example, putting together $1 trillion platinum coins. Anyway, some of the, again, we'll learn concrete tomorrow. Imposing new limits on guns imported from overseas. Seems pretty straightforward. Compelling federal agencies to improve sharing of mental health records. All right. So let's say in Colorado, a neuroscience PhD candidate kind of goes off the deep end. Maybe there should be a way to know that he's buying 6,000 rounds of ammo off the internet for home defense, I'm sure. And this is the big one. This will be the touchdown if we can get this, because this turns the tide. Yesterday I told you various stories, and this has been going on for now 20 years. The NRA and the GOP have gone out of their way in what I think is the surest sign they know they have a losing argument. And it all started when one academic researcher decided to run some numbers and released a report that said a gun in the home is 43 times more likely to result in the death of a household member than ever to be used, Chuck Norris style, defeating a bad guy. These are numbers that the NRA would not like you to know, and it certainly goes against, the GOP platform. But the numbers are what the numbers are. What happened was an immediate lashing out. In this case, everything from threatening to defund the Centers for Disease Control to, and I think in the case of this one report, whatever the amount it cost, $150,000 or so, that exact amount was removed from next year's budget of the CDC with the very implicit message, stop looking into these things. Don't you have, hair loss treatments you can be grading the effectiveness of, or emergency plans where if I need to call my doctor after 4 hours, can't you study SARS or something? The message being, leave this data alone. We don't want we can't handle the truth when it comes to gun violence in this country and gun deaths in this country. So Best to just bury it under the rug, and there will be severe consequences for anyone who violates this. One of the leaked potential, I don't know what we're calling them, proposals is to direct the CDC to conduct research on gun violence. In addition to that, enhanced attention, higher prioritizing of the gun laws that we do have, including, and this is a big one, prosecution of people who lie on their background checks. The last year we have on record, there were tens of thousands of lies, omissions, fabrications on gun applications nationwide. 77 were prosecuted. I mean, it's one thing when it's oops, there was a 9 there and there should have been an 8. I have a hard time believing there were tens of thousands of those, and only 77 were dicey. But allowing, ATF and FBI more access to gun registration info, not a bad thing. Certainly the used gun show loopholes, there's no reason for those to exist. If a gun requires a background check, then a gun requires a background check. Even, yes, collectible muskets, so we're not going to leave loopholes. In addition, some of the common sense, and again, know when to pick your fight. When you see even a majority of NRA members support the banning of high-capacity magazines, you don't need a 30-round clip for hunting or home defense. All right, this was the conversation where Dick Cheney and I agree that if you're trying to stop a bad guy, let's say you roll the dice, you're the 1 in 43, congratulations, you get to live out your fantasy. And don't kid yourself, fantasy is a big reason a number of these people, or paranoia, different sides of the same coin there. The reason they buy these guns. But let's say you win the 1 in 43 lottery and it's your job to stop a bad guy. If you need to fire 30 rounds to do it, please don't. Don't fire 30 rounds on my behalf, in my direction. Because I'm guessing it's not like a Looney Tunes cartoon. I'm not going to find 29 bullets in an outline in the wall behind me and one bad guy down. I don't think it really works that way in real life. It will be more inconvenient for shooting range binging, maybe. But what's the cost of that convenience? Another reason that this is a good fight to pick. And I think the evidence backs me up here. When it comes to the National Rifle Association, and we've talked about how actual little political influence they wield. They run up the score in these, also ran races. Like, if I only bet on the Harlem Globetrotters to win, that would not make me an expert sports handicapper. If I bet on 10, Harlem Globetrotters matches, all right, and then one, NFL game. Lo and behold, I have a 90% winning percentage. I'm the best handicapper on earth. I'm Jimmy the Greek without the implied racism. That's the NRA's election record in a nutshell. As people break down more and more information on the 2012 elections. There are some groups that were very effective in their lobbying, and then there's Karl Rove. Almost in the Karl Rove category is the NRA. And when you look at return on investment, bang for your buck, on what the NRA spends, you're talking like 1%. They will huff and they will puff, but they will not actually blow your house down. Use positions like banning of high-capacity magazines, where a majority of NRA members, let alone the public, support. And let the NRA fight loudly, proudly, and publicly for an unpopular position. And maybe let it slip that the NRA is maybe a little more a pawn of gun manufacturers than gun owners. Yeah, Republicans love wedge issues. Let's give them some new ones since theirs are kind of running out of gas. Let's wedge a majority of gun owners against the NRA. Let's have the NRA argue against positions that gun owners support. Let the NRA do the heavy lifting and then point out, it seems like they're doing more work for gun manufacturers than gun owners. Why is that? And then maybe point out that a majority of NRA funding comes from gun manufacturers. Pretty much a buck a gun. You buy a Glock, buck goes to the NRA. You buy a Bushmaster, which really should be for grooming, not shooting. Buck goes to the NRA. They're doing the bidding of the gun manufacturers. No wonder they want guns everywhere. And we need to arm people in response to armed people who are armed in response to armed people, and so on and so forth ad infinitum. Another thing to consider, I'm going to pick a fight. What if you lose? This was the ultimate failing of the neocons, the Bush team, or the people for the new American century. All right, these were the folks who were pushing back in the 90s for Bill Clinton to go in and kick Saddam Hussein's ass because he was weak, he was under sanctions, we could roll over them in 2 weeks. They never thought to think, okay, what happens if things don't go exactly according to plan? And this is, I think, the true genius of what the president is doing to actually accomplish something. Not a Dianne Feinstein, I'm just going to stand up and hold a press conference about an assault weapons ban that isn't going anywhere, doing anything. I just want credit for having a press conference. Okay, then, press conference had, kudos to you. What happens if you lose? And in this case, let's say the president fails miserably, not exactly his MO. Usually when the president fails, it's because, well, he did it to himself. What you would see is politicians of all stripes, all flavors, of all various qualities, running to do the NRA's bidding. I would argue that's been the last couple of years. And whether it's courts striking down gun laws, even most socialist, liberal, Kenyan anti-colonialist, Marxist, communist, empty suit presidents like, Barack Obama expanding gun rights. Yes, President Obama's expanded gun rights. You want to carry your weapon into a federal park, you're welcome. Democrats did that. We built that. There's no downside here. So let's do it. If the right wants to fight for unpopular positions, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I say let them. Do it, and thank you. I don't think there's a downside. Again, just look here in the state of Iowa. I mean, a bill that Republicans themselves, the sponsors of the bill, the supporters of the bill, call the Give a Schizophrenic a Gun bill. And luckily, they did it in front of an open mic that they weren't aware of. Otherwise, that bill would have passed as just common sense Second Amendment in the state. We've seen our concealed weapons laws, permit laws, changed in the state. The NRA is already getting whatever they want based on the perception of power. Well, let's see if the bully really has any bite or if he will shirk away from a pop in the nose. If the bully, is really just doing it because his dad smacks him around at home or because he feels insecure, let's point that out. In this case, if the NRA wants to do the bidding of gun manufacturers, let's let them see. Let's let them fight for the rights of straw purchasers in border states. Make them stand up for what they truly believe in, and we'll see if the American people follow them. I don't think they do. There's even some talk. The NRA admits to, I think they're bragging about having 4 million members, and in reality, that might be somewhere around half that. Again, the Chicago Cubs draw more people than that, and I don't see any movement on tax breaks for Alfonso Soriano's horrible contract. Let's put the spotlight on him and let's see what happens. I'm guessing it won't go well for the NRA. All right, email radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw, or just go to the website, thebradshawshow.com. Just real quick, something to worry about as we go through a completely awful flu season. Like I told you, I am a big iPad believer. It is maybe the best content consumption device, maybe since the television became mainstream. My Weather Channel app just added influenza reports, where every state but California and Mississippi have widespread flu. And they're saying this one might be, not quite swine flu levels, but close. It's widespread, it's virulent, it's out and about, it's loud and it's proud. Something to ponder. According to the Center for Disease Control, this will be the worst flu season in 10 years. It's an unusually aggressive virus. And it's being tied in with the worst whooping cough outbreak in 60 years. Thank you, Jenny McCarthy. Now, obviously, we all see that, wash your hands reports. And if you experience flu-like symptoms, you should stay home and avoid contact with other people except to get medical care. Pretty straightforward, right? Is this a bad time to point out that 40% of private sector workers and 80% of low-income workers do not have a single paid sick day? 1 in 5 workers reports being threatened with their job for asking to take time off or calling in sick. And this is one that should... 79% of food workers, that's your heat-dripping chicken, that's your fancy dining restaurant, 79% of food workers have no paid sick time. None. Zero. Zilch. You want to pay rent? You go to work. You've got, I don't know, how many holes in a human head? If you have stuff coming from every single one of them, and twice on Sundays, you got to go to work if you want to eat, as Coolio said. Just something to ponder. 20%. And I'm guessing of that 20%, how many are like hostesses or managers? I'm guessing that number is higher when it's just cooks and watrons. That's the gender-neutral term, right? 79. Not to worry you, the worst whooping cough outbreak in 60 years and the worst flu season in a decade. And it'd be fun to see if this really kicks off. We've seen kind of the fledgling movement for part-time worker sick pay. And I think it is an idea whose time has come. And I say this as someone who used to manage, the part-time staff for an entire cluster. And I will tell you this. I told my people to stay home. Why? Because I didn't want them getting everyone else sick to cause me real problems. I would much rather have my, NASCAR board up. All right, skip a week. I'll find someone to fill in. Than to turn my studio into some, Dustin Hoffman-esque hot zone that's going to cost me 4 people. Go around touching stuff, coughing, spreading pestilence. Right? I don't want my workplace to turn into a game of pandemic. Seriously, screw you, Mozambique. You always make that game impossible. And by the way, there's backup for this. This is the American Journal of Public Health. As paid sick days result in reduced turnover, which leads to reduced costs incurred from advertising, interviewing, and training new hires. So not only do you have to not go get new people, you lose institutional knowledge and all the costs that go along with recruitment. You also decrease lost productivity due to presentism, and that is people who come to work sick. They're not always that effective. If you're running to the can every 30 minutes, you're not going to get a whole heck of a lot done. Sure, you're there, you're hanging out for 8 hours, and who knows how many people you're going to infect in the time. But they're saying this could cost, $160 billion annually. It seems like a no-brainer, but I don't know. Maybe the American psyche isn't ready for that, right? Maybe does that come into contact and conflict with American exceptionalism? But $160 billion additional cost because of sick workers who make other workers sick and who make other workers sick. Hell, I'd take it one step further. If I had the power, if you got a sick kid, stay home. Don't bring their pestilence in. I don't know what it was like where you, all the salespeople would like be in the pit. So we would call it the sales pit or the sales cabana if we were feeling generous. And it would always start. One guy would complain that his kid was homesick from school. 2 days later, he's sick. 4 days later, that whole area is sick. And it spreads through the building. So I always told my part-timer, stay home. No muss, no fuss. I'm going to respect you to act like an adult if you call in sick. You're sick, we'll deal with it. I would rather have you come in or not come in. But as areas like, we're seeing this starting in municipalities, San Francisco, Madison, push for paid sick time. I think it's going to move to the state level, and I think it's an idea whose time has come. Mostly because I like eating at restaurants, and I don't like the fact that 80% of them have no paid sick time. So, you know what? I think I'm just going to make a roast tonight. I think we're going to stay in, maybe cut up some potatoes and do it that way, because at least I know any pestilence I eat at that point will be my own. All right, on that happy note, let's call it a day, shall we? Drop me an email, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. I am an absolute feedback junkie, so whatever you got, I want to ingest, unless you're one of those 79%. Or follow me on Twitter, where you can see all the snarky things I say to Chuck Grassley, the Iowa GOP. Twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw, and we'll reconvene tomorrow at 1:30 here on The Bradshaw Show, thebradshawshow.com, on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. See you then.